Fame promises beauty, youth, and perfection. But in Hollywood, that promise often comes at a cost. Behind the red carpets and flawless smiles are stories of risky cosmetic surgeries, shocking transformations, and decisions many stars later regretted. What happens when the pursuit of perfection goes wrong? In this video, we uncover the surprising, emotional truths behind celebrities whose cosmetic surgery didn't turn out as planned. Mickey Rourke is one of Hollywood's most complicated and openly honest figures, known as much for his talent as for the difficult choices that shaped his life. In the 1980s, he was considered a major rising star, admired for his intensity and natural charisma in films like 9½ Weeks and Angel Heart. At that time, he seemed destined for long-term leading man success. Rourke's path changed when he stepped away from acting to pursue professional boxing, a decision that resulted in serious facial injuries. In the years that followed, he underwent multiple reconstructive surgeries. Rourke has publicly admitted that several of those procedures went wrong, explaining that he trusted the wrong doctors and paid a permanent price. His willingness to speak openly about these mistakes sets him apart in an industry where image is often protected at all costs. Public reaction to his altered appearance was often harsh, yet Rourke never avoided accountability. Instead, he focused on rebuilding his career through challenging roles. His powerful performance in The Wrestler, 2008, marked a major comeback, earning critical acclaim and reminding audiences of his depth as an actor. Today, Mickey Rourke's story is not simply about cosmetic surgery or physical change. It is about resilience, self-awareness, and survival in an unforgiving industry. There is admiration in his honesty and perseverance, and regret in how his struggles were judged, making his journey deeply human and unforgettable. Courteney Cox is a rare example of honesty and self-reflection in an industry that often pressures women to chase eternal youth. Best known for her iconic role as Monica Geller on Friends, Cox became one of the most recognizable faces on television in the 1990s. Her success, however, came with intense public scrutiny over her appearance as she aged in the spotlight. In the years following Friends, Courteney Cox openly experimented with cosmetic procedures, including fillers, in an effort to maintain a youthful look. She later acknowledged that she went too far, explaining in interviews that she gradually lost perspective because the changes happened little by little. Unlike many celebrities, Cox chose transparency over denial, publicly admitting she no longer recognized herself. What makes her story especially meaningful is what followed. Courteney Cox made the conscious decision to dissolve her fillers and embrace a more natural appearance. She has spoken candidly about the emotional relief that came with accepting aging rather than fighting it. Her honesty resonated with audiences, particularly women who face similar pressures in everyday life. Today, Cox continues to work successfully in film and television, respected not only for her talent, but for her self-awareness and maturity. Her journey is not a cautionary tale meant to shame, but a human story about learning, adjustment, and self-acceptance. There is admiration in her courage to admit regret publicly, and a quiet sadness in how powerful Hollywood's beauty standards can be, even for those at the top. Meg Ryan was once known as America's sweetheart, a symbol of warmth, charm, and effortless beauty throughout the 1990s. With iconic performances in films like When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and You've Got Mail, she became one of the most beloved romantic comedy stars of her generation. Her expressive face and natural smile were central to her screen presence and audience connection. As time passed, Meg Ryan faced the same pressures that confront many women in Hollywood: expectations to remain youthful while aging in the public eye. Although she has never spoken in detail about specific cosmetic procedures, Ryan has acknowledged that she struggled with intense media scrutiny surrounding her appearance. Changes to her face became a frequent topic of public discussion, often overshadowing her work and contributions as an actress. The reaction was often harsh and unfair. Instead of focusing on her talent or legacy, much of the conversation centered on speculation and comparison to her younger self. This attention played a role in her decision to step away from the spotlight for several years, choosing privacy over constant judgment. In recent years, Meg Ryan has returned selectively to public life, appearing more comfortable and grounded. Her story reflects a broader issue within Hollywood, the unforgiving way aging is treated, especially for women. There is admiration for her achievements and resilience, and regret that a beloved star was pushed into retreat by superficial standards. Meg Ryan's legacy remains defined by joy, romance, and a reminder that talent should never be overshadowed by appearance. Melanie Griffith is a Hollywood actress whose life and career reflect both extraordinary success and the intense pressures of fame. Rising to prominence in the late 1980s and early 1990s, she earned widespread acclaim for her performance in Working Girl, which brought her an Academy Award nomination and established her as a major star. Her talent, vulnerability, and distinctive presence made her a standout in an era defined by strong female leads. As the years passed, Griffith faced constant public scrutiny over her appearance. She later admitted that she turned to cosmetic procedures in an attempt to maintain a youthful look, only to realize that she had gone too far. In interviews, Melanie Griffith has openly shared that she was not fully aware of how dramatic the changes were until the public reaction made it impossible to ignore. Her honesty about this experience has earned her respect, even as it revealed the emotional toll of living under Hollywood's beauty standards. What followed was a period of reflection and correction. Griffith made the decision to reduce or reverse some of the procedures, choosing a more natural appearance and a healthier relationship with aging. Her willingness to admit regret publicly made her story relatable and human rather than sensational. Today, Melanie Griffith is viewed with admiration for her talent and courage. Her journey is not about failure, but about learning and self-awareness. There is appreciation for her openness, and a lingering sadness that so much attention was placed on her looks instead of her remarkable career and resilience. Donatella Versace is one of the most recognizable figures in the fashion world, a woman whose image has become almost as iconic as the brand she leads. After the tragic murder of her brother, Gianni Versace, in 1997, Donatella stepped into the role of creative director of Versace, carrying not only a global fashion house on her shoulders, but also immense emotional pressure. She transformed Versace into a symbol of bold glamour, confidence, and excess, leaving a lasting mark on modern fashion. Alongside her professional success, Donatella's appearance has been the subject of constant public discussion. She has openly acknowledged undergoing cosmetic procedures over the years, explaining that the scrutiny and expectations placed on her influenced many of her choices. Unlike many public figures, Donatella has never pretended to be untouched by age or criticism. Her transparency has made her a complex and polarizing figure rather than a distant icon. In recent years, Donatella has spoken more openly about self-acceptance and balance, showing a more reflective side shaped by experience. She continues to lead Versace with confidence, proving that her influence goes far beyond physical appearance. Her presence in fashion remains powerful, respected, and unmistakable. Donatella Versace's story is not one of vanity alone, but of survival in an unforgiving spotlight. There is admiration for her resilience, creativity, and honesty, and a quiet regret that so much focus has been placed on her face rather than her achievements. Her journey reminds us that even those who define beauty standards are not immune to their pressure. Joan Rivers, 1933 to 2014, was one of the most fearless and influential figures in American comedy, a woman who reshaped the industry by refusing to soften her voice or conform to expectations. At a time when stand-up comedy was dominated by men, Rivers broke through with sharp intelligence, rapid-fire delivery, and a willingness to joke about topics others avoided. Her humor was bold, often controversial, but always deeply personal and honest. She was also famously transparent about cosmetic surgery, long before such openness was common. Rivers spoke candidly about undergoing multiple procedures, often using self-deprecating humor to address aging, insecurity, and Hollywood's obsession with youth. While some of the results were publicly criticized, she never denied her choices or hid behind illusion. Instead, she used honesty as a form of control in an industry that often punishes women for aging. Behind the humor was an extraordinary work ethic. Joan Rivers worked relentlessly, performing stand-up, hosting television shows, and remaining culturally relevant well into her 80s. She viewed comedy not just as a career, but as survival, a way to process pain, rejection, and personal loss. Joan Rivers passed away in 2014 due to complications from a medical procedure, a loss that shocked the entertainment world. Her death marked the end of a groundbreaking career, but not her influence. She is remembered with admiration for her courage, intelligence, and trailblazing spirit, and with regret that such a fearless, uncompromising voice was lost. Pamela Anderson is one of the most recognizable pop culture icons of the 1990s, a woman whose image became inseparable from an era of fame, glamour, and intense public scrutiny. Rising to global recognition through Baywatch, Anderson was often reduced to a symbol rather than recognized as a person with depth, agency, and evolving identity. Her career unfolded under constant observation, shaping both her public image and personal choices. In the early years of her fame, Pamela Anderson underwent cosmetic procedures, including breast augmentation, which she later openly discussed with honesty and reflection. She has since acknowledged that some of those decisions were influenced by industry pressure and the expectations placed on her appearance. Unlike many celebrities, Anderson did not cling to denial. Instead, she chose transparency, admitting regret and evolving publicly. In recent years, Anderson has taken a dramatic step away from heavy makeup and cosmetic enhancement, embracing a more natural, minimalist appearance. This shift has been widely praised as an act of self-acceptance and personal freedom rather than reinvention. Her recent public appearances reflect a woman reclaiming control over her image after decades of being defined by others. Beyond appearance, Anderson has grown into a vocal advocate for animal rights, personal autonomy, and creative independence. Her story is not one of failure or excess, but of growth and self-awareness. There is admiration for her courage to change course, and regret that her humanity was often overlooked in favor of image. Pamela Anderson's journey reminds us that true reinvention begins with honesty and self-respect. Kenny Rogers, 1938 to 2020, was a legendary American singer, songwriter, and entertainer whose warm voice and storytelling ability made him a global icon. Best known for timeless hits like The Gambler, Lucille, and Islands in the Stream, Rogers built a career on emotional honesty and relatability. His music spoke to everyday struggles, choices, and redemption, earning him a devoted audience across generations. Later in life, Kenny Rogers became unexpectedly known for his appearance following cosmetic surgery, particularly a procedure around his eyes. Unlike many public figures, he addressed the topic directly and candidly, admitting in interviews that the surgery was a mistake. He explained that his intention was not vanity, but an attempt to look less tired, a decision he later regretted. His openness and lack of defensiveness made his response feel deeply human rather than evasive. Despite public commentary, Rogers never allowed criticism to define him. He continued to perform, tour, and connect with fans well into his later years, maintaining humility and gratitude for his career. His focus remained on music, storytelling, and the bond he shared with his audience, not on image. Kenny Rogers passed away peacefully in 2020 at the age of 81, leaving behind a powerful legacy that transcends appearance or controversy. He is remembered with admiration for his honesty, warmth, and lasting contributions to music, and with a sense of regret that public attention sometimes drifted away from his artistry. His life reminds us that legacy is shaped by character and impact, not perfection. As these stories show, fame and beauty often come with unseen pressure, choices, and consequences. Behind every headline and transformation is a real human journey filled with regret, growth, and resilience. These celebrities remind us that perfection is an illusion, but honesty lasts. If these stories moved you, leave a comment with your thoughts, like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more powerful stories about fame, truth, and the human side of Hollywood.